Okay, we can hear now. Very good. Thank you.
Good.
So there we go. So now, Juliana, how you doing, man?
I'm fine, man. I'm really fine. Actually, it is pretty warm down here in Brazil, where I am, down here in Belo Horizonte, where I live. It is, although it is rainy tonight. It is the temperature here. It is 29 degrees Celsius, which must be 70 something. No,
29
7,
Celsius would put it about 84.
84. Wow, yeah. So that's what it feels like to be in my area here, man. Pretty warm.
Oh yeah, yeah. My folks are like in the 80s down in Florida today,
Uh,
and they're getting ready to go up to Georgia for a bus trip up there and stay around a couple places up in Georgia. And I'm mad because they get to do that, and when it happens, they're going to be cold. So my dad says he had to put some pants on instead of wearing shorts. So it's going to be a
yeah.
big temperature change for them. They're going into the mountains from where they were.
So is it much colder in the mountains now where they're going to?
Yeah, well, they're coming further north, which will also drop the temperature, and then they're going higher in elevation.
All right. Yeah. So it must
So
be.
yeah, they're going from sea level to up into the lower parts of the mountains down there. So yeah, it'll be height and also further north. So it'll cool quite a bit for them.
Oh yeah, definitely,
So
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, people don't think about that. Sea level, going different heights change temperatures for a lot of different places, and as of course the farther north you go. But
Yeah. Down here in Brazil, it takes the further down south you go, the colder it usually is because it's closer to the southern hemisphere.
right.
But yeah, but
Opposite for you, but
it's
you get the idea. If we're going further south, it's getting colder. And for us in the northern hemisphere, going further north, it gets colder.
That's right, because actually, as you move down south, you're approaching the tropical area, which is the hotter place.
Right.
And as we move down south, we are actually moving away from the tropics, so which causes the temperature to plunge, and that's what
I
happens.
keep forgetting you're in the southern hemisphere. I keep thinking you're up north with us. So
Yeah, this is something funny because actually, when Mac first moved here, he told me sometime later that he had trouble identifying, where he was going to because every time he was in America and he looked at the sun, it was moving in the south part of the sky, right? Because is that right? Is that what it goes for you
yeah,
there? Yeah, because actually the sun runs along the tropical line, which is down below North America.
right.
As for us here, when we look at the sun, it actually moves in the northern sky because it is up above on the tropical line. So we have to adjust its sense of all that. And also, we just with the Canadian solar we took him up to he and his girl up to a hill in the evening and ask them to try to point any stars that they could recognize in the sky. And they stayed there for a good like 5 minutes trying to figure out the stars and everything, and they just couldn't see anything that they could actually oh, I know which star or whatever group of stars that is. Actually, you can see the Big Dip. I think you call it the Big Dip, right?
Yeah, the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, the North
Yeah, you see the
Star.
Big Dipper, but it is upside down here.
Right.
so, so you actually see it, but it is upside down, and you have trouble. People usually have trouble trying to identify it, and that's the way it is. But we have some good as for night navigation. We have some good star references. As for the Southern Cross, it gives us a very reliable, you know, direction and a way to navigate. If you just, of course, we are talking about general directions, but when you got nothing, that works. You
Well,
can actually.
yeah, people have to understand that it's basically, if I were to go down there, everything would be upside down.
That's right.
And,
Yeah,
it's kind of the things that you understand and take for granted here in North America or in the northern hemisphere is exactly the opposite in the southern hemisphere.
dude, it is. Yeah, but then when you actually start to think about it, it doesn't take that long distance for things to start changing. Get a load of this. Yesterday I moved I went on a trip with my woman, with my wife, 300 kilometers down south, actually closer to Rio, to the border with Rio. And I was able to identify. We were actually moving deeper into the Atlantic forest area, and moving away from the Cerrado where I am. And I could actually see some trees which we don't have here, some species, these tall and very long species called araucarias. We don't got them here in the place where I live, and like 300 kilometers down in my state, we weren't, and we never left the state. Some of the trees, a whole bunch of them were already different, and things were changing. So yeah, I can imagine how weird it must be for people coming from other continents and places like Europe or the States or even other parts of the world. People who are used to identify and navigate, take directions from the sky and all that. It must be weird. Actually, just having, just finding yourself around this totally different bush, with new trees, new plants, new species, and all that. It must feel great too. I've never really had the chance to do that. Although in my area, I have so many different places to go that sometimes it doesn't.
How do you spell? How do you spell where you live? You're in Bella, B-E-L-A.
Yeah, Belo, which is beautiful, and Horizonte, which is horizon, and that goes for a beautiful horizon, which is
so
the name.
it's what? B-E-L-A.
No, L-O.
L-O.
Belo, Horizonte.
Okay.
So Belo Horizonte, yeah, that's pretty much where I live. This is the capital of my state, Minas Gerais.
Right. I wanted to add that to my clock.
All right.
And it should be 11 p.m. down there right now.
It is actually 10 past 11 on my computer. Here.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I wanted to add that to my. I have time zones across. I have London time zone, and of course the time zones through North America, and then I have your time zone on there, and we're hoping to add Australia and an Oriental time zone. We would like to get a bushcraft and cooking and other stuff from an Asian point of view.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
And we would like to pick up somebody from Australia also doing shows with us. So
yeah,
we truly want to be worldwide and pick up these different shows. We are working on some more shows, more blogs, and more people coming in.
Awesome.
And wanted to do that. Now, something I'm looking forward to, and I've had some questions on it. I would like to know when you would like to do a Brazilian, a Portuguese show.
Yeah, the sooner the better. The thing is, Rich, I got a few things going on here, and really important things right now. I cannot really discuss them openly right now, but I can guarantee you that this is some really good. Let's put it this way: it's the result of some hard work that I've been waiting for a little while, and I cannot really say anything. I cannot really commit myself to anything else for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I don't really think that it would be really viable for me to start this show in December. Maybe we could start it up in January at the first week.
I would like you to announce down there to those people, everybody in your area. Well, I know you have a huge fan base down there, and I want everybody to understand with Giuliano coming on that he's bringing a lot of people to Around the Cabin, and we truly want to have people who speak different dialects, different nationalities, different ways. Right now, I can tell you so far this month, now I have a bunch of unresolved, but in the last 6 days, at least 2,700 Brazilians have tuned into Around the Cabin.
Wow, that's so cool.
Okay, so
that's cool.
Knowing that these people are interested in the shows and are fans of Giuliano's, I would love to have, and I know a lot of you guys have said, well, I won't understand Portuguese. Well, sometimes you can watch the show in English, and then you can listen to the show later on. Maybe you learn some Portuguese with everybody. And I don't understand all of Portuguese. I get some words every once in a while just because I've talked to Giuliano for so many years now, going back and forth. I can get a gist of what he's saying. And I think that bringing that to around the cabin is something that I would really like to see, and the powers that be have talked to me with it back and forth. And we would really like to have Giuliano come on and do a show in English and a show in Portuguese and a show in English and go that way as he does his shows. So it would be like 2 shows a month in English and 2 shows a month in Portuguese.
That would be awesome. That would be outstanding, Rich. And I think a lot of people down here in Brazil would like it too, because a lot of people just can't understand, or can't understand some of it because we tend to speak a little fast and they can't quite follow. If we had the show in Portuguese, way more people would be able to watch it and follow the show and have fun and learn too, and share information. And there's something else too. I would be able to bring in more people, just like Chris did a few minutes before, as he was doing his show. He brought his guest, and I'll be able to do that too. Bring in people from the Caatingas and other people to discuss all these subjects in Portuguese. And
now Jason asked. He says, "My wife speaks Spanish. Is that close?"
Yeah, it is close. It is close. There
is a crossover between Spanish and Portuguese down there with a lot of.
Yeah,
you have to understand, in the United States, and I would love to have a Spanish show also. So, Jason, if your wife would like to have a show, or she would like to write in Spanish on certain subjects, and you could do it in English. I know Jason does a lot of writing for us. If you would like to have a written English and a written Spanish, that would be fine too. We want to be as multicultural, as multinational, worldwide as anybody, and I don't want to exclude everybody just because they don't speak English.
That's right.
In a lot of places, English is very hard for a lot of people because we use what we call slang.
But every
Giuliano is an English teacher in Brazil.
That's
and
right.
so him translating, even he asks me sometimes, is my English good enough? Do you understand this? Am I making, and he comes up with different words, but it's the slang that throws a lot of other people off, because we can say different things and you understand it and I understand it, but in other countries and other nationalities it doesn't go that well. It's hard to translate those kind of things.
Yeah, because actually that has to do with some type of culture which you are close to. I'm closer to the U.S. for a bunch of reasons I don't want to mention now, but it's obvious. You can actually, although I do have a very strong Brazilian accent, you can tell that I don't tend to talk like that. You know what I'm saying? Here, so yeah, but for a lot of people, these things count. These things count. But anyway, Rich, we are running a little short on time here, and we do got a video for tonight. If you don't mind me cutting down to the chase here, do you mind?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, because it is a 22-minute video, and I want to discuss some of the aspects I'll be showing on the video. So, would you mind playing the video now, so we could actually get started with that?
Sure. Let me grab this thing here.
Thank you so much, Rich.
Give me a second here to get over here and grab this.
Take your time.
All right. Mute yourself, Giuliano. You have a mute button there on the Skype. You can hit mute.
Yep. Hold on a second. I'll do it right.
Not edible. Rich, a few weeks ago you asked me about how often do I have to use my machete here in the bush, and what I told you is, unless I am walking off the trail, I don't really have to use my machete so much. And if you might remember what I said, that we actually come down to places which have been already prepared and kind of cleaned up, so we don't have to do a lot of chopping, and there are trails that bring us down to these places. So this area where I am is a good example of this I have just mentioned. You see, around me, you see that around me here is a rather clean spot. You can see the leaves on the ground, and that's my campsite right over there, my hammock and my shelter, my tarp. But other than this place here, everything else around it, it's choked with underbrush, trees and vines and all that. So if for any reason I decided to step off these, let's put it this way, clean islands in the middle of the jungle, or if I decided to move off trail, I will have to do a lot of chopping and use my machete a lot, because get a load of this. I will be chopping and cutting and hacking through this kind of vegetation, vines, and this is not really cool. It's just very hard work there. So do I have my machete here with me? Yes, I do. Am I gonna use it a lot? Well, maybe to chop down some wood for fire, like to get me some firewood. Other than that, I don't really plan to use the machete a lot to cut any vines or anything else. However, I might have to do some machete work here. I might have to use the machete here to some degree, because this place has been overgrown. It's been like a few months I last visited here. I don't think anybody came here after me, so the vegetation is pretty overgrown. Some trails are overgrown actually, and I might have to clean them up with my machete. So there might be some machete work for me here, but it's not a whole lot. And the first thing that I made when I got here was set my camp here, my hammock and my tarp. Got my tripod there, my Alice pack here hanging with my gear, not a whole lot. But you really need a tarp, especially now in the rainy season. This is the only dry space you're gonna have. And as you can see, the rain has already arrived. It has started raining already. Yeah, this is just to give you guys an idea of what kind of environment I am and why my gear is so important here. Well, this is why you really have to have some kind of shelter which is going to get you off the ground, because the rainy season has already started, and the little grass and the plants on the ground, the little vegetation has already started growing really fast. And I didn't have much time to clean underneath my tarp. I will eventually do it using my machete to do it. What I did here is I had to chop these vines that were growing along this tree here, because they were preventing me from first stretch the strings that go to my canopy, and I had to chop down these vines here. And they are they have some leaves which will actually itch really bad if they touch you by accident, and they are everywhere here in this jungle. So another good reason for you to have long-sleeved jacket like the one that I have here, sleeves rolled down, because you have these plants here, and if they touch you, they will cause you to, you know, scratch the area really bad, and that's what they do. Having your bush jacket sleeves rolled down is the way to go in a place like this, in an area like this. We have some other very interesting plants here I'm going to describe now. We have some wild edibles here. Have to be careful here because there was an old trail here which has been overgrown. Well, this is a plant which we call falso jamburandi or false jamburandi. Now you see it has those things, how can I call those? Cobs. And this plant has a few useful parts. First, the tip of the branches will turn into these, I don't know how to call them. They resemble some type of pepper. Okay, and these are actually a relative of the pepper. They are in the pepper family. So what we do is we collect the top of these ones, of these guys here, and we dry them out in the shade. After that, we grind them into a powder which can be used to flavor, to season your meals, your rice, whatever you're cooking here in the bush, because they will add like a pepper flavor to your meals, to your bush meals. Other than that, the leaves can be used to wrap the food, the meat which you're cooking, and thus protect the food from burning, and it will actually give you a way to wrap your food as it's being cooked in a fire. So another good use for this plant here, and I intend to do some use of this falso jamburandi in these days here, as I am you know, both bushcrafting and camping here in the Atlantic forest of my state, Minas Gerais. At the season of the year, the rainy season, this is pretty much what you guys think of the Atlantic rainforest, of a tropical rainforest. This is it. Very interesting area. Do you remember what I said when you're actually walking into a tangle and a mash of vines and plants and stuff? I really meant it. Have a look around. Good morning, friends. Spent a good night here. It rained during most of the time, but had no problems. Had very comfortable night here. It was not cold. Probably at 3 o'clock in the morning it got a little chilly, but all I had was my poncho, a space blanket, and tell you the truth, that was enough to take care of the problem. I slept on my clothes. I had another jacket, my hunting jacket here, and that was it. No problems at all. Last night, before it got too dark, I cleaned me an area here using my machete. I chopped down the grass, the ground vegetation, the grass that was down here, just to make this area a little bit safer, so I would feel it was safer and cleaner. I could see it better, what is on the ground, in case any animals or insects approached. But that was it, no problem. I didn't have any problems at all. I'll let you see what I did here, because I also worked out another aspect of my camp here, which is it's camouflage. You know, it's a stealth. It's pretty much like stealth camp here now. Beautiful morning now in the jungle, and I'm going to make some coffee here. Because of the rain, I don't want to mess with the fire now. All the wood is really drenched in water, really soaked in water. I might make some fire later on today, but it's gonna take me some time, and I don't really want to put some time on the fire thing now. So all I'm using to boil my water are these wax blobs. Let's call them like this, and they are cotton balls that have been, like saturated with wax, and they make very good and cheap artificial fuel to prepare your meals in the bush. You can boil water for coffee, you can make rice, you can cook noodles. There's a whole whole range of food that can be prepared using these. The only disadvantage is it leaves like that black coating layer on your canteen cup, but you can wash it off later on, or scrub it off if you want to. Yeah, guys, so I'll make my breakfast now, my coffee now. Just one blob was enough to boil all that water, and it's still burning there. It's going to burn for at least 10 minutes. But I'm going to put it out now, and yeah, you reuse it later. We are gonna take a walk down there to a place which I want to show you. I was actually counting on finding water down here at this time of the year with the rain, all the rain we have been having, but no. So I want to show you the situation down there. Let's take a look. No water there, nothing. It's short damp, but no water. There should be a spring of water coming from a hole that there is down there, which is drained from the mountain. So far, not enough. I'm pretty sure I'll be getting rained on later on at some point tonight, or if I'm lucky, during the day too. And that's the water I'm counting on collecting. I didn't collect any water last night because I didn't have an empty container to store them either. Yeah, but I will be collecting some rainwater from now on, and I don't think it should take too long to rain. It's cloudy up there, and I see some dark, some darker, grayer clouds coming from that direction, so that it should rain on me sooner or later. Something really cool just happened. I was by the river down there, and as I was moving back to my camp area here, actually I heard a noise like a couple of feet away from me. Let's say 4 feet away from me. When I looked to the side, I saw this armadillo moving, and I had my camera in my jacket pocket. So it was just enough time for me to get the camera and try to focus on it. It got into a little crevice, and then as it was getting to the other side and moving away, I actually get the chance to film some of it as it moved away. But it was so cool, so nice. You don't really get the chance to see much of the fauna, the local fauna here. They are all around, but they usually hide, especially during the day. It was just very, very lucky. I was very lucky that I had the chance to actually film that animal there, and to actually to show you too, because like I said, I hardly ever get the chance to see them around here. Good. The rain has started, thank God. It's not too heavy, not really heavy actually, light rain, but the water has started gathering up here. And if I can collect at least 1 liter of water, that's good enough. I don't really have much water left. Because I was counting on the water that was supposed to be down there on the spring. I actually only brought 4 liters. My first canteen is empty. I only got about 300 milliliters left in the bottle, and I got 1 liter here in this canteen, but this is for tomorrow. If I didn't get any water, I was saving that for tomorrow, because I have to hike 15 kilometers out of this place here. And I know there's water, at some points along the road, but I would need some water to get there. And I still want to cook me some breakfast tomorrow, make some coffee. I'll definitely need more water. But apparently water won't be a problem now, thank God. Okay guys, it's time for me to go now. I arrived here on Saturday about 1 o'clock p.m. and it's Monday about 2 p.m. I'll start my hike up out of this valley up to a road there is here, and then I have 15 kilometers of good hike ahead of me until I get to the nearest town, where I'll be able to catch a bus and make it back home, hopefully, if God wills. And I hope you guys at Around the Cabin you enjoyed this video I put out for you here. I hope it also gave you some idea of the Atlantic forest environment. One of my favorite areas where I usually come to, this place where I stayed here for these few days. Thank you a lot for watching Around the Cabin. Rich, thank you so much, man. I'll see you guys in the boonies. This was Juliano Toniolo from Brazil. Take it easy. This was Juliano Toniolo from Brazil. Take it easy.
Alrighty, well, we are back in the chat room. Turn that down, turn it down, Giuliano. Julian's thinking in the room there. There you go. Alrighty, we are back in the room with Giuliano. We're back alive. Let's bring him smiling face back up. Alright, Doc had a couple of questions. One of the questions I'd ask him, Doc, also about the water was, why didn't you drink the water out of the river, out of the stream? And Giuliano in private had sent me a message back that he would definitely boil that water first, but there was water vines you would rather drink out of than that river water. Is that right, Giuliano?
That's right. Actually, the very first time I visited that valley, I had brought enough water for me to go for like 2 days, but I had an American friend with me, coincidentally, on that day, Joe Padley, who used to live around that area. And he actually took me down there, but he didn't have any gear on him, and we didn't have, much any other water other than the few bottles I had brought down with me. So this was actually the first time when I found the water vines down in that area, because I was chopping down some vines and I could feel the water coming, splashing on my face. It was something that I really learned out of necessity. And I had seen water vines before, but I never really had to drink it and try them out. And for some reason I never really tried it. And on that day I really tried the water, and I knew exactly what I was looking for, what type of water I was looking for, what features I had to identify that would probably show that a water vine was okay. And I found those features, went for them, no problems, and I still go for them. But we have to remember, for you to actually quench your thirst, drinking from water vines, you have to chop a whole lot of water vines. And in this case,
you mean it's not like in the movie where you chop the vine and the water comes out like somebody turned on a hose?
It is in the Amazon. It is in the Amazon, not here. Not actually. I've had some. So the traditional opening we usually use for the show, I use some scenes of me drinking from this water vine,
right,
which actually had a very good thick, water dripping coming out of it. But for the most of it, you have drops, it drips. And what you do, the reasonable thing to do, the best thing to do is actually, if you cannot just get the whole amount of water that will quench your thirst immediately, you get your canteen cup or any other container that you have, and you cut the sections, and you put the sections vertically in the container, so all the water from the sections will drain into the container, so you'll actually gather enough water for you to try to drink from it. You must be careful though, because some water vines here, it's not that they are poisonous or toxic, but they have some really bad taste. And after you drink from it your mouth feels like it's dry. And it's really weird. It feels really weird. And some of them are toxic. So you must know what you're doing. You must be able to identify vines. We got a whole bunch of vines here. Not all of them will give you water. Not all of the ones that give you water will give you potable water. So you must be careful. I know that people up in the Amazon, they do have those vines which you can actually bathe from if you shower, underneath if you just hold them up like you said, but that's not how it goes down.
It doesn't work that way everywhere, does it?
No, not really.
Now, how bad is the river there? I mean, you said you'd boil out of it, no doubt. I mean, it is like rivers.
It's not as bad as it is, a few clicks down from the point where I was. The problem is there is a town upriver, and you run into the risk of drinking chemicals that you cannot treat in the water. Because if you boil the water, it's okay. I mean, I don't mind drinking from rivers if I have to boil the water, because I know that I will be killing all the bacteria and microorganisms that will, do me harm. But that doesn't work with chemicals. And I don't know what kind of chemicals people are actually dumping in the rivers. God knows. And you're taking your chances. The day I did that, it was the only one day, the only occasion I actually drank from Rio das Velhas, and I would only drink from that river, up, in that area where I was. I would never, not even, think of drinking unless I could really, steam out that water and collect it in another container and actually make sure there would be no chemicals, nothing that would come out in the steam and the vapor. So maybe, but there are some a few clicks down from where I was. It's just impossible.
Well, that's extremely important. I mean, that you know what's around you, the villages above you, the other stuff, what's coming down the river. I mean, you don't know. People say, "Oh, why drink out of a stream if you can't?" Well, you don't know if there's a dead cow, 100 yards up the street if you can't see it.
That's right. But seriously, when I'm drinking, when I'm looking for streams, rivers, any source of water to collect water from and drink from, I'm aware of these risks. I'm aware that there might be like animal feces, like a dead, God knows what, upstream or whatever. But the point is, so I will try to either boil that water, treat it chemically if I can, whatever way I can find to treat it. But what really concerns me are those things which you cannot remove from the water, so the chemicals, so to say. Because how can you know what kind of stuff they dumped in the water?
Now, here's a question from Fixed by Doc. He said, if you used a water vine or a vine, could you make a gravity filter using a vine as a filter?
No, because it has these tiny microtubes, and you cannot really. You have to look very closely, and you will be able to identify these structures, these circular structures, tiny little tubes that run down along the thing. So actually, hold on a second, because the filter is a good way, is a way to go down here in the jungle, and you can actually make a filter using natural resources. If you collect bamboo, and of course, if you have like a knife and the time and the conditions to bushcraft one, you can. But you have to have a fire. Then you will use the coal, and you make all those layers in a piece of bamboo. You can make a filter, and you replace the insides from time to time. It should, it's better than nothing, of course. If you have like a T-shirt or a piece of fabric to add inside of the tube, and
getting the water to flow through the vine because of the capillaries in the vine is not going to happen.
No, forget it. It's like I said, they are like tiny little structures. You cannot really pour it. It's different. It doesn't go like that. The water is there inside already. What the plant does, it sucks the water out of the ground, through the roots, and that water is brought upwards. It is sucked upwards. So when you cut the section, you actually cut the flux, you cut the power which is pulling it up. So the whole thing just comes down and flows down again, but you don't really have the ability to either push water inside or find a way to, because the tree will do it for you. The tree itself will filter that water and make it potable. So you can drink out of that water, no problems, because the whole tree system will have prepared that water for you.
Well, here's something that most people don't understand.
Yep.
When you cut a vine to drink out of it, okay, you cut what part first? You're gonna make two cuts on the vine. You just don't just chop a vine and drink.
No, Rich, listen. I have heard instructors and people showing different ways, and I've been techniques being being performed in very different ways from the ways I had originally seen or learned. So I have seen all these things going around to know that there is no the best, the only way to do things. So it's it's kind of
if I walked up to a vine and cut a vine in half, could I expect to get water out of it?
I'll tell you what I do. What I do first is I chop the upper section first,
right?
Okay, because that will be holding the water inside, and then I cut the lower section, because by doing this I will prevent any water from dripping out of the vine, and then I hold it up. If I don't want to drink immediately as I perform the two cuts, what I do is I bend the lower tip upwards like a U and making a U shape. like that, like you know what I'm saying? So I hold up the two tips, and by doing this, I can pretty much hold all the water inside and carry that section to somebody. That suppose I want to cut a section for my girl, and by doing this, I will save all that water, take the water for the person, whatever the person is, and save the person the water. Whereas if I want to drink the water immediately, all I have to do is just lift it up and stretch it up and drink from it. You can, if you know the plant, if you know the vine, you can suck out of the section straight up. It is the water comes in more quantity and comes faster, and this is a way to go too. Like you're sucking out of a big straw.
Right.
These are options, but then again, you have to know what plants and what vines you're using, because there are vines here that are really toxic and can get you like tripping, like give you like a trip on the jungle, and you start talking with Jimi Hendrix in the jungle. That's no good.
All right. Now, about the video, when you had the video and you were underneath your tarp,
Yep.
you had a lot of leaves and everything and small branches on your tarp. Did those fall at night, or did you try and camouflage yourself for them?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that on the video there, because let me tell you what, I was camping alone there, and that area is really close to the main trail that brings people down into the valley.
Right.
I have never heard of anybody having any problems down there. For people that use that area, for the most of it, they are fishermen, bushcrafters, or just people camping and fishing. You don't really have any crimes, anything really weird going on down there. But you never know. You never know. I wasn't. And besides, I wanted to. That spot, the spot where I was camping, is not the spot where I traditionally set my hammock. This is actually where Mac usually sets his hammock. The reason why I chose that place on that occasion is because it is not too close from the trails that give access to that area. So if anybody, actually moved up to where I was, by having my camp set on that part of the area, it would make it more difficult for people to spot me. And I wanted to test some camouflage techniques. I wanted to see how well camouflage it would be if I just spread the leaves on the tarp and hang those branches and all that. What I did is I moved away, as I had done many times before, at several, because you might think, oh, come on, Juliano, you were in the jungle. If you just moved away into the really thick bush a few yards, you would disappear. But the canopy doesn't. What happens, even though it is OD green, it sort of shines. You can actually see it reflects light somehow, and you can see this, straight green line, and it just stands out. So by throwing the leaves on the top of my tarp canopy, I was actually able to break that shine and break that light, and I pretty much blended in perfectly.
Yeah. Nothing in nature is straight.
No, exactly, nothing. So, but I had to go and make sure that all the lines were like broken. I had enough leaves spread in. But again, it was the very first time I tried that too. So I wanted to see how well I could camouflage a hammock and a tarp in a jungle like that. Because if I just use those leaves as my main source of camouflage,
right.
And I think it worked out pretty darn well.
So how did the water situation work out? You got enough water from the rain?
Oh yes, I did. Thank God. Actually, I could have got all the water that I needed for another 2 days, because it rained on the first night. It rained a lot, basically throughout the night. But I didn't have any containers to store the water, and I started drinking from the canteen, and then I moved on to the bottle, which was stupid. I should have drank from the canteen, finished with the water, and then I would be able to to fill it up again. But so on the second day, I was all day long, counting on the water, looking up, into the sky, checking out the clouds, and let's say that in the evening, early evening, at 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m., I have quite a good, heavy rain, and it was enough to collect all the water that I needed for the other day for my hike out and cook me the breakfast and do everything that I needed. So yeah, actually, I had to rely on the rain to quench my thirst because, like you've seen on the movie, on the video, the spring back there was dry, although it was damp. And actually, who was that fixed by Doc that asked me if I could have if I could have dug the place and tried to collect the water from the spring? Was that him?
Uh-huh.
I think so, right? I could have done that, yeah, but as I knew for sure that the rain was coming at some point, I decided to save me time and energy because one of the other things I was doing on those days was filming videos. So I was actually focused on the videos, on the script, on the things that I had to do, and I didn't want to spend any time making fire or digging for water, especially when I knew that there would be some good rain coming down sooner or later. So I just decided to ration the water I had, which wasn't, nothing really bad. I had enough water to keep going for the day if it didn't rain, along the day as it did, and but as soon as it did, it solved my problem.
Awesome.
Yeah. Now,
So did you run into any problems while you were out there this time?
no, thank God, no problems at all. One thing though is the psychological aspect. This is one thing that I'd like to emphasize here
Sure.
because when you are camping with a friend, even if it's just one person, it's like, for some reason, the presence of another human being just creates a world where you are psychologically involved. So the person is either talking about gear, his personal life, or whatever, your friends, you got common interests. There's a world connecting you, like a psychological, I don't know, stability. Let's put it this way: you're listening. At some point you will talk, and there will be voices and the sound of humans. But when you're alone, I mean, the only sound I heard was when I was, filming the takes for my videos, and I was talking. Other than that, it was only the nature, and the proof that it was actually a different environment than what it usually is when you are out there with other people is the fact that I was able to film that little armadillo, which you must remember that doesn't usually happen down here. And you must say, okay, he's in the jungle, there goes an armadillo, he's filming it. But no, these animals, they usually hide. They are very smart. I mean, if they, for any reason, they see you around, they will run. And I was standing near by the river in camouflage, standing next to a tree, and I heard a noise. When I moved, I saw the armadillo moving. And the funny thing is, I had my camera in my jacket pocket, which I don't usually do. I had, this is funny too, because I felt like, I want to take my camera. Something, I didn't think like something is going to happen, but I felt like, man, I know I'm going to take my camera. Something might happen, and I want to have it at hand. And it really did happen. The animal came. I was able to actually get a few seconds of the armadillo moving, which was awesome. I saw this other bird standing on a rock in the middle of the river, and he was actually, opening his wings like its wings like that, and it was taking a dump. It was very funny too, but because it was so distant, I was trying to film it, have this close shot range, this long distance land shot, whatever, you know what I'm saying. I was trying to film the animal. I'm sorry, and I was shaking so bad, so I decided not to use the footage. But it was a very unique trip in this sense because I had the chance to actually, feel the forest, feel the place in a sense, in a way that I don't usually do it so often, just because of the presence of other people. And you actually get very thoughtful when you are in this situation. You tend to think about yourself, about your life, and about things very, very much. And this is a good moment for you to face yourself. Because, when you got friends around, you're joking, you're, boasting, you're whatever, you're, having fun. But when you're alone, you got nobody for you to play the tough guy, to play you got all your little ghosts and everything, all the things that go inside your mind will come out at night when you're out there in the dark. So beside the jungle techniques, the camping techniques, whatever bushcraft survival techniques you're practicing, you also have to deal with this degree of, how can I put this? You're looking at yourself in the mirror, and there's no one else. You don't have to wear a mask, Or if you got a psychological whatever, you are depressed for any reason, if there's an issue, it will come out and you will be facing it. And that should give you the chance to work out those aspects. And a lot of people don't think of those things. They think that all they need is a nice knife, like a backpack packed with gear, and okay, here I am heading to the jungle. Yes, which is great, but if you do have to find yourself in a situation when you're alone, you might have, to experience these moments. And this is a good moment for you to learn how to deal with these situations, because I don't know what happens, but everybody has issues. This is a human thing. I don't care where you live, how old you are, what degrees, what diplomas you have, if you have, what language you speak. You're a human, the same as I am, and we have issues. And these things are all inside, and they will come out sooner or later. And these are good moments where you can work out these things in a lot of aspects. And it's a constant experience. It's not like, okay, I had this trip, all right, it was enough. No, I think every time I go there, every time I camp alone, I will, be looking at areas, and I will be dealing with these psychological issues to a degree. And this is just learned as valuable in terms of learning as it is when you're practicing the bow drill.
I think that's an excellent point, and a lot of things that get overlooked with a lot of people. And I think that is something that we should all look into. And not just in a bushcraft, but also in a psychological for our emergencies or whatever else we have. And that's something that a lot of people don't talk about.
Oh, dude, come on.
It's a psychological section of all that.
Yeah, and as a survival instructor, this is the very first thing that we emphasize in our courses here, how important. It doesn't matter what you pack inside your backpack, even your training background. If you're not able to keep your mental, capacity to analyze your situation, figure out what you're gonna do without, panic.
Oh yeah, well, it's like Chris Kane said, you talk to the trees, that's fine, but when the trees start talking back, you better get back and talk to, you better have problems. Well, Giuliano, we're running down the time here. It's 9 o'clock. We're going to bring our friend Doc in.
All right, Doc.
With a beautiful video, and I wish I was there instead up here in the snow. I wish I was out there camping with you, my friend, and enjoying that weather down there.
All right, bro.
So hot, he had to take the sleeves out of his shirt, man.
Yeah. I cut my Vietnam air jacket just to feel, like cooler here.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, man. We look forward to seeing from you next week. And if you shoot any more video or whatever else you got going on, what plans you got for this week? Anything, or are you just busy behind the scenes doing stuff?
Oh yeah, I got a few plans. I'm actually I'm tripping to São Paulo, to Campinas. I got a few things going on there, but I cannot discuss these things now, like I said. But I'll be able to talk about it openly next week. However, let me tell you, I'll discuss that with Mac. I won't be able to be here for the show on Friday because I'll be out in São Paulo. So I'll talk with Mac, see if he can run the show for us. He might be able to, and hopefully he will, because I won't be here. For sure.
Well, if he can't make it, then I can always play a video for you or something like that. I can always take some of your YouTube stuff and put it up or something like that. So we'll cover for you next week if you need to. Just leave me a message and let me know what's going on.
Yeah, we'll work it out. Thank you a lot. We'll work it out.
All right, Giuliano, my friend. I love you, man. Have a good one. I'll catch up with you later.
Me too, bro. Thank you a lot, bro. See you next week. Take it easy.
Thank you.